When we stop to think about all the different cars and trucks on the market, then boil it down even further to their manufacturers, I think most of us could agree if I work hard and do the right things and make the right choices and save some money, I could afford insert vehicle of your choice here. But as we start to look into the next tier of cars like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Porsche, maybe the idea that we can practically own one of these supercars starts to feel like it's out of reach for most of us. Let's be real, a two-seat rocket sled doesn't exactly lend itself to being very practical for a family or really doing anything other than driving from A to B very quickly. Let me be clear, if I had the dollar bills, y'all, my third car for my family would be a two-seat rocket sled. For most, if you look up into the next tier of super and hypercars like Koenigsegg or a Hennessy, check out the video I did on the Venom F5, we have to accept the realization that we're probably never going to own a car that costs as much as a Hollywood mansion. Beyond those cars, however, through the wardrobe and into the land of Narnia, is a car manufacturer that is so exclusive, so out of reach, that you have a greater chance of being hit by lightning than seeing one of their cars in real life. Don't bother fact checking that, it's true, the math checks out. That brand is none other than Bugatti. Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that have subscribed to my channel and supported me over the last 8 months or so. I'm just shy of 250 subs, which is about 250 more than I ever thought I'd get. If you have any interest in the videos I'm making, consider hitting the sub button for me. It doesn't cost a thing, but it does let me know my videos are halfway decent. Anyways, I just wanted to take a second to thank everyone for all their support thus far. It means a ton to me, and I really, really appreciate it. Bugatti automobiles are in such a class of their own. I've honestly never really taken much time to look into their cars other than hearing about some speed record being broken or some other ridiculous stat, number, or price tag related to the brand. These multi-million-dollar monsters were very foreign to me, pun intended, but while watching a video on the Chiron Supersport and doing a little research, I came across a name I hadn't seen before and couldn't pronounce properly because it's French, and I'm not. And I apologize for the verbal butchery about to take place. That name was Tourbillon, Bugatti's newest hypercar and successor to the Chiron. But this isn't just a new, ultra-luxurious speed freak. I thought this new car was just going to be the next iteration of overpriced, self-aggrandizing Bugatti. And it is to some degree. But the more I looked at this car and the more I learned about the designers behind Bugatti, the more I've come to respect what Bugattis are. Time machines. I'll get back to that in a minute. To understand what makes the Tourbillon so unique in the Bugatti lineup, to me, is one thing. It's actually a lot of things, but this one thing they've done is really a departure from what they usually do, and that is naturally aspirated. I know, not the big reveal you were expecting. But to explain why I think this is so interesting, let's go back real quick to understand a little of what made Bugatti vehicles, especially their power plants, so impressive. The Veyron was first released in 2005 as Bugatti's first regular production vehicle. Named the Bugatti Veyron 16.4, it had an 8-liter W16 engine with 4 turbochargers bolted to it, hence the 16.4. This was a marvel of engineering at the time. Ending production in 2015, the Bugatti Chiron was released in 2016. An absolutely gorgeous successor to the Veyron, the Chiron had the same 8-liter W16 engine with 4 turbos, though a heavily updated version of it. The Chiron Supersport produced almost 1,600 ultra-refined horses. The Tourbillon has been redesigned pretty much from the ground up and doesn't share any of the components of the Chiron, even the engine. Instead, the new power plant is a naturally aspirated Cosworth 8.3-liter V16 hybrid monster. The engine makes 986 all-natty horses, while 3 electric motors, 2 on the front axle and 1 at the rear, sizzle out another 789 juiced-up ponies, bringing the total to 1,775 horses. An absolutely irresponsible amount of power for a car that costs over $4 million. If you want a more in-depth look at this new hybrid system, check out the video that Jason, great name, over at Engineering Explained did on it. It's an interesting watch and he puts out really good videos. The long and short of it is that the car can switch seamlessly between internal combustion and electric power while getting 60 kilometers of range in electric only, or 37 miles in Eagle units. The V16 revs up to a glorious 9,000 RPM, while the electric motors on the front axle allow for four-wheel drive and, even more importantly, torque vectoring. I said all that to say, after 20 years, Bugatti stepped away from its universally accepted quad-turbo setup and supplemented that loss of power with its new hybrid electric system. Taking a few steps back, the Tourbillon obviously draws its inspiration from its predecessors, the Veyron and the Chiron. I just have to say that this new Bugatti is absolutely masterful in its new design. Some of the themes that make a Bugatti identifiable as a Bugatti carry over to the Tourbillon. Probably the most notable feature being the C-shaped body lines on the sides of the car that just scream Bugatti. Other notable features include the very iconic two-tone body color found in Bugattis, as well as the center spine over the engine compartment and the horseshoe grille that goes hand in hand with the brand. While these features are very iconic of Bugattis, they've also been reimagined for the Tourbillon. For example, the C-line has been reshaped with a more aggressive look, an overarching theme for this vehicle, giving it a sense of movement. The rear end has been redesigned to be less boxy and more free-flowing, helping to improve the aerodynamics of the car. At the front of the car, the ever-present horseshoe grille has evolved to become slightly shorter but wider, giving the car a broader, more powerful look. The wider grille allows more air to be channeled directly to 2 of 8 radiators. Yes, I said 8 radiators in the Tourbillon. What really stands out to me is how angular and aggressive the front of this Bugatti is. The hood slopes down very sharply and the front fascia comes to more of a point, sweeping back sharply from the grille. Adding to the overall much more aggressive look than previous models is also due to the fact that it's just as wide as the Chiron, but is an inch shorter, giving it an incredibly low, wide stance. Where the Tourbillon really shines, I mean, every bit of this thing is ridiculously sick and crafted to perfection, but even more so is its interior. Once the dihedral doors open up, the one word that comes to me first is clean. Like super clean. The idea behind the car itself, but more specifically the interior, is the look and feeling of timelessness. Listen to what one of Bugatti's lead designers has to say about the inspiration of this vehicle.
Once you open the door, the interior design is a complete revolution. It is where digital detox meets the art of watchmaking, the haute horlogerie. So we have chosen to do the entire human-machine interfacing about displaying information and operating the car in an analog fashion. The center console is machined from solid aluminium, set within real crystal glass. The Tourbillon is a timeless design that is not made for the future, but for eternity.
It's evident by the almost Spartan interior that great thought was put into how the cabin would be designed. No large screens or infotainment systems would be incorporated. Only the finest materials like cashmere, titanium, and wood are used for this machine. All of the machined metal and crystal glass make me think of a more refined Pagani interior. To keep the vehicle height as low as possible, both seats are fixed directly to the floor, while adjustability is derived from the telescoping steering wheel and a floating pedal box. All of this and more combines to showcase one of the most well thought out and luxurious cabins I've ever seen in a car, as it should for the $4 million price tag it commands. I really think the Tourbillon is a beautiful car. Bugatti has done a masterful job combining power and performance with the highest levels of luxury into a hypercar that can produce damn near mythical performance numbers. Seriously, hold on to something because this is going to sound ridiculous. 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. It gets to 60 faster than it took me to make that statement. It screams to 120 miles per hour in under 5 seconds, shreds the quarter mile in 8.8 seconds at 176 miles per hour, and tops out at 278 miles per hour. Those are some unbelievable numbers, and even harder to imagine ever hitting in a car that costs, again, over $4 million. Did I mention only 250 of these will ever be made? Don't feel like you're missing out on ordering one. They're all spoken for already. I know, I missed my chance to get an allocation as well. Before researching this video, I really thought that Bugatti was just this car manufacturer with an overly inflated ego that developed incredibly expensive cars for society's elites, not for us mere mortals. And they do. But after listening to Bugatti's director of design, Frank Hale, speak about the philosophy of the company and their inspiration for creating timeless vehicles, I felt inspired by his words.
It really goes into the base thinking of the whole architecture of the car. Our number one topic that really has a big influence on all our thinking is timelessness. Tire technology that is of our time right now. We can create this and that much horsepower from an engine, or we have a battery cell chemistry that is like this or like that. But in 100 years, none of that is really relevant anymore. It won't be cutting edge anymore. We are a brand that is about luxury. So what is luxury? How do you define luxury? It's preciousness, it's rarity. It doesn't even have to be anything material. You could probably pay the same amount of money that we pay for a machined from solid aluminum center console for a really nice screen. But we chose exactly to not do that, actually. We chose to invest into things that will last and that will remain to be timeless.
In an ideal world, this is how all cars should be developed. Really, how anything should be developed that you believe in. And I find Bugatti's mindset refreshing and inspiring. What do you guys think of this latest creation by Bugatti? I appreciate it more than I thought I would after looking into it. And though I'll never be able to afford one or even be able to afford the cup holder, it's nice to know that some companies still hold to classical ideas and build machines designed to last through generations. And something about that is very reassuring to me. If you made it this far, thank you so much for taking the time to check out my video. Don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. It is free for a limited time. As always, stay safe out there, take care of each other, and enjoy the ride. Peace.
Let me get